It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
the Mixed Martial Arts Hour back in your life on this Monday, August 29th, 2016. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani, back inside our New York City studio. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. It was certainly an entertaining one as far as mixed martial arts action is concerned. The highlight, of course, Saturday night, the UFC back in Vancouver for the fourth time. First time was UFC 115. Second time, UFC 131. Third time, UFC 174. Fourth time, this past Saturday, UFC on Fox 21. Three major takeaways from that event, in my opinion. First off, Demian Maia continues to impress, continues to dominate his opponents in a way that we have rarely seen. This is a guy who, when he came into the UFC, he was obviously very well versed in the jiu-jitsu game, and perhaps it took him some time to evolve as a mixed martial artist. He hasn't gone away from jiu-jitsu. Obviously, we've seen that once again on Saturday night, but he has really become, as far as one discipline is concerned, a master at it. And he continues to beat up everyone on the ground. And the most impressive part of the whole damn thing is he continues to take very little damage in his fights. Now he's won 6 in a row. He submits Carlos Condit in less than 2 minutes. And in my opinion, he cements his place atop the very best in the 170-pound division. So it seems like they're going to do Wonderboy versus Woodley next, and then he's next. He wants to wait, and the emotion that he showed afterwards, the emotion that Carlos Condit showed, I mean, it really was, as the old ABC Wide World of Sports show used to say at the top of its program back in the day, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. You see Demian Maia crying because Condit means so much to him, because winning over Condit means so much to him, because beating Condit like that is so darn important to him. He is literally bawling as Carlos Condit is trying to figure out his career and where he goes from here. Condit said afterwards he doesn't know if he belongs in the UFC. That is 100% untrue. His heart may not be into it. His mind may not be into it, but he certainly belongs in the UFC. And this is a guy who was, in my opinion, a scorecard or two away from becoming UFC welterweight champion back in January. It's still the fight of the year, in my opinion. I thought he beat Robbie Lawler on January 2nd. So it just goes to show how cruel this sport can be. And now here he is questioning whether he'll ever fight again. Once you start thinking about that, once you start contemplating your future, maybe it's best to walk away. One thing's for certain, probably won't see him for quite some time. And the next time we hopefully see Demian Maia fight, it will be for the welterweight title. Also of note, Anthony Pettis drops down to 145. He submits Charles Oliveira. His 3-fight losing streak is over. What a weight lifted off his shoulders. What a great moment for Anthony Pettis there on Saturday night. And then how about Paige VanZant? Wow, unbelievable. Stealing the show, flying switch kick. She hasn't fought since December. She goes and does the Dancing with the Stars show, finishes second, probably should have won the whole thing. And then in her return to the UFC on national television, she knocks out Bec Rawlings with a flying switch kick. What a year for Paige VanZant. Friday, Bellator had an event. Bellator 160, Benson Henderson, now the #1 contender in the Bellator lightweight division. An unfortunate ending. Patricio Pitbull breaking his fibula in the fight. Benson wins, gets his first Bellator win. What else was on that card? AJ McKee remains undefeated. Joey Davis looked very good in his Bellator debut. Georgi Karakhanyan knocking out Bubba Jenkins. Like I said, it was a very busy weekend, and maybe the biggest news of all, it was made official on Friday. Rory McDonald has officially signed with Bellator. And you know what's interesting? Tyron Woodley, Demian Maia, even Wonderboy Thompson. What do they all have in common? Rory McDonald is what they have in common. The last man to defeat Tyron Woodley, Rory McDonald. The last man to defeat Demian Maia, Rory McDonald. The man who Wonderboy beat to get his title shot, Rory McDonald. Well, he's headed to Bellator. So much to discuss on this show. It is a stacked one. Can't wait to get into it. So let's run down the lineup and get to our first guest. Can't wait to talk to her as well. 4 o'clock, we'll be joined in studio by Luke Rockhold, who is, of course, coming off that loss to Michael Bisping. There's a ton going on in his life. He'll be in studio at 4 o'clock. 3:30, Michael Chandler will be in studio. The Bellator lightweight champion will be right here. So we got 2 in-studio guests today. 3:05, Josh Barnett, who faces Andrei Arlovski this Saturday in Hamburg, Germany, he'll stop by live from Hamburg. The aforementioned Rory McDonald will stop by at 2:45 to talk about why he decided to sign with Bellator. Max Holloway, who's one of the very best at 145, we'll talk to him about Pettis, talk to him about what's next for him. He'll stop by at 2:25. AJ McKee, a great character, the mercenary, the son of longtime vet Antonio McKee, will stop by at 2:05. Rashad Evans will stop by at 1:45, talk about his future. And Rafael Dos Anjos, in one of his first, if not his first interview since losing the belt back in July, will stop by at 1:25, talk to him about Conor, his fight against Tony Ferguson. So much to talk to RDA about. But first, we got to start this show one way and one way only. She is still in Vancouver, about to head off to the airport. Very kind enough to join us right before she does that. She won big on Saturday, as I said. Flying switch kick, Paige VanZant. Massive win for her. It's a highlight clip that will be replayed over and over and over again until the end of time. And she joins us right now via the magic of Skype, I believe. Or is it via the magic of phone? There she is, Paige VanZant. How are you, Paige?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, what a pleasure. Where are you right now with those black drapes in back of you?
This is still my hotel room.
Oh, my gosh.
We got a good setup.
You're such a pro, Paige. Even when you come on via Skype now, you're like, you're just top notch, A+ all the way. First class. I appreciate that. Okay. How many times have you watched that clip over and over again? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, a lot. I've gone through and watched it a lot, just from every angle, kind of seeing how I did it. It was a really cool highlight. I'm gonna definitely remember that for a long time.
Is that something that you worked on in training? Were you looking for that?
It was actually. That was something I was looking for in the fight. All my corners it was decided that I was gonna get her tired in the first round. I knew I would have world-class cardio. That's something that Justin Buchholz really pushes on us in training. So get her really tired in the first round, use everything in my arsenal, kind of see what would open up, see how she would react. I was trying to fake a few shots, trying to just kind of test her out. And then I was able to see she kept dropping her hand, and that left side was open. And Justin told me, left side's open, throw the kick. And I threw it, landed it, and got the knockout.
So at the beginning of the second round, as you may have heard, Brian Stantz says that he heard in between the first and second that Justin was telling you to stop flying around, stop throwing that crazy stuff. Is that in fact what he said? Because almost on cue, you land the flying switch kick. So did he say that or not?
No, that's not what he said.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly what he said, but he wasn't telling me to stop using all my tools. I'll have to go back and kind of see what the corner said, but I know he kept telling me that left side's open, throw the left kick. I don't know. He's the one who kind of told me, and it was nice to have a coach talk about how athletic I really was, and that's something that he reiterated, is that you're one of the top athletes in the gym. You have all these tools in your arsenal, and I haven't used them before, and I throw them and I land them in sparring, but I go out to the cage and I end up just rushing forward and trying to close the distance and not really effectively striking. And for this fight, I definitely wanted to be a little bit more effective. I knew she'd have high-level boxing. I wanted to stay out of that range, and if you use a few more tools that I land in sparring, and I landed it there.
What were you thinking when you sat down in between the first and second? Because looking at Twitter, a lot of people were scoring that first round for her and saying that you seemed like you were trying to figure things out, maybe shake off the cobwebs. Were you disappointed in that first round?
No, I wasn't at all. That was kind of the plan, is wear her out, circle. I kind of looked at her over in her corner. She did look tired after that first round. And, I kind of did exactly what I wanted to do. I saw exactly how she was reacting to everything that I was throwing, and threw a lot of leg kicks. I knew that's how I was going to set up the over-the-top kick. And, I feel like the first round went perfectly. Went to my corner. I was really pissed because she... on accident, it was just kind of like when we were clenched up, she came up and headbutted me, and I was pissed. I got headbutted, and I mentioned that in the corner. But no, I feel like the first round for me, maybe I was down on points, but I kind of set up exactly what I wanted to.
Is that where the black eye comes from?
Yeah.
Oh my! I didn't notice that. Yeah, I didn't notice that on Saturday. Did you cover that up, or did it only emerge afterwards?
Usually when I bruise, it shows up the second day.
Oh, wow. That is interesting. When you landed that kick and she fell, were you because you still had to sort of finish her off on the ground? Were you like, oh man, this is too good of a kick. Like I need to finish this because it will be almost a waste?
Well, I think actually after I landed, I was just so like, holy cow, I just landed it. It took a little bit too long for it to register that I need to like swarm, but that's something we obviously drill is when you drop somebody, swarm them and get the finish. So I hit her. I was like, all right, move in, and just got on top of her and finished the fight.
Are you sparring a lot leading up to your fights? And if so, did you hit people with that? Did you drop people with that kick?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I dropped.
Okay.
We use headgear and like shin guards, but I landed it really, really well on one of my teammates. This poor guy Nico, and it happened to be Reebok was in there filming for the day, and they got it filmed. Me just
sick.
Hitting him with the same move, and it landed perfectly. I hit it on one of the girls that I spar with, and I've just been drilling it. During open workouts, one of my guys, he wanted to throw that just to show it off during open workouts. And I was like, no, I want to save that. I really want to save that. Let's not show it. And it ended up working out.
Absolutely. Yeah. The secret weapon. You can't unleash that beforehand. I noted before the fight that in talking to some people, no one was doubting you per se, but they did say in the back of their mind, like, man, I wish he had a little more time post Dancing with the Stars. Like this is coming quick. And of course it was a big stage on Fox. So it was important to have you on the card, but did you feel the same way in hindsight? Did you wish you had a little more time leading up to the fight after the show?
I did. I did wish I had just maybe 2 more weeks would have been perfect. But at the same time, I knew the time that I had to get ready for it. UFC said, I want you on the Canada card. So I said, all right, I'm going to Canada, and just kind of made it work. I got back into the gym, and I worked really, really hard. And I feel like I've worked harder than ever for the last 4 weeks of this fight camp. I turned it up. I really feel like I pushed it, and I got ready for the fight. By the time I got to Canada, I felt really ready.
You mentioned in the post-fight interview that it was one of, if not your hardest training camps. In fact, you considered pulling out. Why was it so difficult?
There was just a lot of factors that were kind of, one, frustrating. 2, I took the fight before I had even stepped back into the gym.
Oh, wow.
That was kind of a secret. I was trying not to let everybody know. But I just took the fight. UFC said they wanted me on the card, so I said okay. And got back into the gym, trained really hard. I had my corners kind of worked out, and all of a sudden neither of them could get into Canada for various reasons. But Canada didn't want them here. And 4 days before I'm supposed to leave for Canada, I got a new corner. I actually had a teammate who was supposed to be on this card, Josh Emmett, and I was just going to use one of his corners. Then all of a sudden Josh gets hurt, and he's not going anymore. So his corners weren't going anymore. So then I had to ask them to come anyway. It was just like a lot of annoying things here and there.
Any injuries?
No, actually, this is a great fight camp. Okay. No injuries going into it and no injuries coming out.
Wow. Were you freaking out when it's not your usual corner or the ones that you had been preparing for? Like mentally, what does that do to you?
It's just a switch up. It's definitely not a problem for me because I have had different corners for actually almost every single one of my fights. I've only had like one consistent corner, and it's my Coach Owen, and that's pretty much been my only consistent corner. I've used him 3 times, and then prior to that, I don't think I've had anybody repeat. Wow. It's just kind of worked out that way, and it's something that you don't rely on. And I mentioned that actually in this fight that this is the first time I actually listened to my corners for real, and I could hear them, and I threw things when they told me to throw them. And that's kind of how I got that left kick, is Justin said left's open and threw it. So it was great. And I feel like that's me maturing as a fighter. I'm going to start using some consistent corners and really listen to what they have to say.
Do you feel like you were a little rusty in the first round, like because of the long layoff and all the other stuff that you were doing? You weren't in the gym while doing the show. Of course, you were very active, but not doing MMA training. Did you feel like you needed some time to get going in that first round?
No, I didn't actually. My cardio, I would say for this fight, was better than any other. I was running almost like 20 miles a week getting ready for this fight, just trying to get my weight perfect, my cardio perfect. I knew that I was going to have better cardio just because I was pushing the pace so hard. And for this fight, that's something that me and my coaches have been really, really working on, is me not just charging forward and rushing them. And we knew that was what Bec was expecting. I watched a lot of her interviews. She kind of knew that I was going to rush forward and close the distance. I did see in her prior fights, she's a veteran, you know, I've watched her fight for a while. She does have very good clinch work, and she's very strong when you close the distance and get in that boxing range. So I really wanted to stay out of it, circle a lot, and it just kind of worked out.
Every fight is important. Every fight in the UFC is important, but because of all the attention that you received off the Dancing with the Stars show, did you kind of feel a little more pressure this time to prove that you're not just, you know, some celebrity reality star, whatever, that you're at your core still a fighter, you still care about this, you still want to be one of the best, you know, a champion? Like, did you feel like you had to almost prove yourself again?
You know, for me, I feel like every fight, it's not that I have to prove anybody wrong. It's just that I have to prove myself right. And I had to go in there and prove to myself that I belonged in there, and prove that I was so much more than just coming off of Dancing with the Stars. And it was definitely just pressure I put on myself, especially knowing I was going to have a lot of people watching coming from Dancing with the Stars. So it was just pressure from myself, and I wanted to perform really well, and I was able, I think I have the most finishes for the strawweight. So that was like another awesome thing that happened. So
yes. Amazing. And also, one thing that wasn't really talked about, because the last thing we saw you in was Dancing with the Stars, you know, you're coming off a pretty tough loss. That was your last fight. Mentally, you had to almost get over that hump as well. Were you thinking about, like, just to get your confidence back? That was not a great night for you. You handled it like a pro, all class, like a real professional, but you still had to get back on track. Was that playing tricks on you at all going into this fight?
You know, actually, I just stayed really focused for this fight, and I had to completely forget about that fight because it is in the past. Learn from it, but don't dwell on it. And I know that I was a much better athlete for this fight. Physically, mentally, everything was better for this fight. And I had to go in there with confidence. And no matter what happens in your last fight, even this fight, for my next one, I'm going to have to forget about this fight and reevaluate my opponent and just move forward.
Did you notice a difference in the way the fans reacted to you, Twitter afterwards? I see a ton of celebrities tweeting about you, being on Fox. Like, did this feel different, especially coming off what you did back in, you know, May, April, and the success on the show?
A little bit. I felt a little different, but at the same time, it just feels like I belong here. It felt like I'm finally back in the octagon. It's a different feeling than anything I've ever done, and it's awesome that I have so much support, and it is, I feel like, even a bigger platform because I do have so many amazing people tweeting me and saying congratulations, which feels really special, but at the same time, it's just another win in the UFC, and that's special in itself. Best
celebrity tweet you got? Which one sticks out?
My favorite is probably from Nick Jonas.
Oh, you're a Jonas Brother fan.
I'm a Nick Jonas.
Okay, fair enough. Do the Jonas Brothers still exist as a group? Do they still perform together?
I have no idea.
Okay. Have you ever met Nick Jonas?
I haven't, no, but I've met Demi Lovato, and that was cool. She texted me and said congratulations, so I know she knows him really well.
Wow. Demi Lovato all over the MMA space. Luke Rockhold dating her. I don't know if you heard the news.
Really?
Yeah. TMZ broke it.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. We'll see.
Okay. Well, actually, Luke is going to be on the show later, so we can ask him. I'm sure you'll be tuning in.
Yeah, I want to know about that.
Okay. I like the way you perked up at that little factoid. Do you feel like he's not good enough for her? Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to say that, but I did hear that I was dating an NFL player once I had never met before, so you just never know.
Fair enough. JJ Watt, right? Wasn't that one? Yeah, that was crazy. I think he put that out there because he wanted to be linked with you. That scumbag.
I never had actually met him in person, so and then I found out I went on a date with him.
Unbelievable.
Who knew?
I bet after the show you had all these like PR people reaching out to you, trying to set you up with their clients and things like that, right? Doesn't that happen?
No.
That doesn't happen?
Good.
I hear that's what happens in Hollywood. Like, managers try to set their client up with the... Yeah. Right?
That actually is how it works, which is totally weird. But, I mean, I don't know if you know Mike Roberts. He just replies back. No.
That's a good manager.
It doesn't like it. He just says no.
I like that.
So, yeah, good.
So, okay, so no injuries coming off, and you said afterwards that you want to come back in December, right?
Yeah, and no injuries. It's perfect timing. I don't know if I'll get on that card. I'm sure. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel really good. Of course, I do have a few. I was really excited after the fight, obviously, but I do have a few like fun things in the works right now. So hopefully those pan out and get a good timeline for a fight in there.
What do we got? Last time, if you recall, you were in studio. You held back on us. You didn't tell us about Dancing with the Stars. The next day, you go on some show called Good Morning America that was like way lower as far as popularity is concerned, and then you break it there. So give us the goods. Come on.
I know. I really wish I could, but a few more maybe like, I think I would be in New York. Maybe in New York. So, I mean, if it happens, I'll come your way and
Thank you.
We'll share it on the show.
Okay, fair enough. Was there any chance, given how well you did and how popular you became, did you ever consider not returning to MMA? Did you ever consider not fighting again?
No, not at all. And I think that's the funniest thing about the whole experience. What I find humorous is, me and Antonio became really good friends on Dancing with the Stars, and nobody ever asked him if he was going to leave the NFL and become a famous actor. That would have never been thrown out there. But for me, it was everyone's like, "Oh, Paige is going to leave for Hollywood. She's never coming back." And that wasn't it at all. And I do know that there's a lot of other fighters who have had much longer layoffs than I did, and didn't get to be on an amazing show like Dancing with the Stars and get those opportunities. So for me, I'm a fighter first. I just happened to stay on Dancing with the Stars until the finale, so it pushed back my next fight, but it all worked out. Is
it possible because, as you alluded to on Thursday, I believe, perhaps you don't get paid as much as Antonio, and you are involved in a very physical sport, and that's why people thought you'd think, you know what, maybe I don't need to do this anymore. I can get paid more to do some acting or whatever?
That could have been the case because that's definitely true. Hollywood pays very well. But I am a fighter first, and hopefully, there is amazing things happening. Conor McGregor just had an amazing payday, and it's about time, and I don't see that as an excessive amount of money with what he's doing. That's about right, and hopefully that starts trickling down, so everybody starts making more money.
Kudos to you for saying that. I feel like Paige of a couple of years ago wouldn't have said that. That felt like sort of a big moment for you. I don't know. I feel like I was like, wow, good for Paige for speaking up, because you certainly deserve it and then some. So I give you a lot of props for that.
Thank you. Yeah, but I just think that we all deserve it. We're all professional athletes. We're fighting at a very, very high level. The UFC, I would compare to the NFL. It's on that same playing field, and hopefully eventually we start seeing the athletes making a little bit more money, so anyone who's coming into the UFC, they make it to the UFC level, can actually make a living off of just fighting for the UFC.
Now here's the big question, and I've been wanting to ask you this for quite some time, but it's been a while since we spoke. What is going on between you and Ronda Rousey? Has the beef been squashed? What's happening here?
I think so. I mean, no, it was just kind of the one little altercation. But no, I have absolutely no hard feelings, no frustrations towards her whatsoever. Whatever happened. Not really sure why, or how, but it's over, I think.
No beef as far as you're concerned. If you see her, you'll shake her hand, hug. It's all forgotten.
Yes, it's all forgotten. Us fighters are emotional. I'm very, very emotional. So maybe caught her on an off day.
Have you seen or spoke to her since?
No. I mean, even before that, though, we are both sponsored by Reebok, so we'll see each other at Reebok events. And other than that, we kind of have never crossed paths.
Okay.
So, there's just a lot of UFC fighters will cross paths, but we don't really know each other or talk to each other.
But you're not losing sleep over it?
No, definitely not.
So where do we go from here? You leave Vancouver today. They treated you well in Canada, I would imagine?
Canada was amazing. Everybody here is so nice. I feel like just everyone's so nice.
That's right.
But I'm flying from here to Oregon. I'm going to go visit my grandpa. It was his birthday a few days ago, so I'm bringing him back some maple syrup for his birthday, and then back to Sacramento for training.
I like that. And so in between, let's say you get your wish and fight in December, we may see you pop up elsewhere on other projects, other things non-fighting related. Is that the case?
Yes. That's,
Oh my.
That's the idea.
Bigger than Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing with the Stars was pretty big.
Okay.
I wouldn't say, but who knows? Who knows? I mean, I'm just getting started.
Yes, you are. Is it a done deal or still in the works, this thing that you're talking about?
Everything's still in the works right now. Just a lot of potential things, a few people reaching out, and it's up to my management team to just figure things out on their end, and we'll go from there.
Okay. What a year it has been, huh? I mean, the year isn't over quite yet, but thinking about the way 2015 ended for you with, you're in tears in front of the media, and now look at you riding high. Again, Dancing with the Stars on Fox, nailing a kick like that. That's going to be on every highlight reel about the UFC from now until the end of time. I mean, well deserved. Well done to you. Way to come back and way to prove everyone wrong. What an unbelievable moment. Congratulations, Paige. I know you're headed to the airport, so I really appreciate you joining us today. Wouldn't have been the same without you, so thank you very much for the time. And again, congrats on the big win.
I'll come your way to New York soon.
Deal. Awesome. There she is, Paige VanZant. Massive win for her on Saturday night in Vancouver. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor. I mean, I'm sure you have at this point. What a moment. Unbelievable. What a moment. Flying, switch kick, finishing, Bec Rawlings on the feet. Well, essentially on the ground, but it all started on the feet. Paige VanZant is a star, and the UFC very lucky to have her right now. Most finishes in the strawweight division as well.